Peace and love. Welcome back to the Faceted Duality podcast. I am Amor Shanae.
And I'm Tanae. We're back again with our special guest.
I'm Kiara CA.
And today we're going to talk about some things that are quite near and dear to my heart. More specifically, womb health, and then we're going to touch on PMDD as well. So just to get started, excuse me, we're gonna have to cut this out.
Jesus. Or we can just keep it.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut it out.
But yeah, we're gonna talk about PMDD and womb health. That's PMDD. You wanna talk about that first? Or
We can. So PMDD, that is premenstrual dysphoric disorder, is literally a mental disorder. I was diagnosed with it when I was about, I think, 26, 27.
Mm-hmm.
And growing up, I just never, everybody knew they wanted to stay away from me when I was PMSing or on my period. My sisters, my godmother, my aunts, they're like, you're nuts and you're in your period or you're PMSing and we're not dealing with you. But I never knew where it was coming from. I'm just thinking it was regular, just PMS, until my godmother texted me one day and told me to look into it. And then obviously I went to my doctor. We did, it's like they had you keep a record of everything you go through from this week to this week up until your menstruation. And it was just, and I realized that a lot of it was a lot of stuff I was going through as far as just being depressed for no reason, being sad for no reason. A lot of that stuff was coming from PMDD, and I didn't realize that until after I was diagnosed with it.
And that's caused by a hormonal imbalances.
Yeah,
Right.
It's basically a hormone imbalance.
Yes.
And it can be self-diagnosed too.
Yes.
If you look up PMDD and the type of symptoms and you're feeling like your PMS is very intensified to the point to where you're totally disengaged, and any level of a PMS symptom being magnified, to where it doesn't feel normal. And then it is a hormone imbalance, and I used to suffer from it as well. And when I balanced my hormones out through a lot of changes with my diet and my intake and incorporating certain herbs, I was able to subside my PMDD severely to where it's every blue moon I might still feel the mood of it a bit, in the moment of it, but it's like it feels like regular PMS to me now.
Yeah. I'm still healing from mine. Even with it's a specific hormone though. I can't remember what it was. It wasn't until I started doing research on it, but it drops lower than an average woman.
Gotcha.
And that's what it is. It's not normal during that time. And it's also the time frame. Mine is 14 to 6 days before my period. So mine really start day 14. I can literally physically and mentally feel it. I'll just have this feeling and I'll be like, let me check mine. And I'm literally PMSing. So I'm only normal about 1 week out the month. So.
When did you realize your cycles was a concern?
I think it's always been like that for me because I always just was a freaking nut around that time. But like I said, I can't say a concern, but I wasn't aware of it until I was in my mid-20s. So.
I think I used to have, and I won't say it was PMDD, but I used to have really bad PMS, and even during my cycle, it used to be really bad. And I think I went through a period of detoxing and then also lower my stress a whole lot because that's something that we don't think about. Your stress levels are directly connected to your hormonal levels. So if you have high cortisol, you also probably have high estrogen, and that's what brings out a lot of the quote unquote crazy tendencies. So just trying to lower your stress, trying to make sure you're leading a healthy lifestyle. Movement is important as well, as far as regulating your hormones. So light exercise, walking, yoga, stuff like that.
And stand away from stuff that triggers you because I will have it pretty balanced, but if I have a trigger, I go completely downhill.
Yeah, for sure. I remember being in a relationship earlier on when I was still dealing with PMDD, and during that time frame, I was easily triggered, and it would not. once it was out of my cycle time, once I reflect on it, I'm like, oh, I really could have just
right, exactly.
Yeah, it wasn't really that deep, but at that moment, it's very sensitively triggering. I do know since shifting into a lifestyle too, that's even more detoxing because I detox a lot. I do a lot of fast and a lot of detoxing and a lot of resetting my cells, which is in itself resets our hormones and balances them in our immunity and on a different level, to where my cycles in general is just a breeze. You know, I don't even, the days I flow is maybe 2-3 days, you know, and yeah, and it's just like, it's like clockwork with ease. I don't ever, I've been able to still, I've done the podcast before on my cycle, I've traveled, I've done different things that I used to could never do. If it was that time of the month, I would reschedule everything.
I literally,
not going.
I missed her play, and we had to reschedule last week because I was PMSing, like, and I had finals at that, so I really just couldn't, like,
it was like overstimulated.
I paid for the ticket, but when I just couldn't. I was so overwhelmed. I was just like, I can't. Like, if I would have left out that house to go to the play, or even came here last week to record, it would have threw me completely off. I probably would have failed my finals. It's like it's a
super fatiguing experience. Yes. Like, you feel so
tired and just like not motivated to go outside.
Yeah, unmotivated for sure. So if any of these symptoms sound familiar to where you thought maybe I'm just PMSing, you know, I would definitely check more into PMDD. You can contact me if you have questions, or Key as well. I can help lead you and guide you to more holistic methods to help it out, to ease it out. A doctor may try to give you certain birth controls and things that are not natural that will make you even more out of rhythm to make it worse long term. So please do your own research on what's best for you, what you feel is best for your body. And I'm here to help be, you know, a support in your process too.
Even with the vendor event we got coming up, she's like, are you interested in detoxing 2 weeks before? Like, because I'll be PMSing during that time. So she's like, you know, I feel like you should probably detox, and I'm completely open to it because I probably should do it, take a trip too. Like, I'm just like at the point where I'm so over it. Like, I just want to heal from it, like, because it literally affects my entire life, like, in that moment.
And
it's every month, like,
it's every month. And thank God I have such a supportive partner, because when he knows it sometimes before I notice it, and he's so, like, he's a lot more softer with me, and he's just, you know, he caters to
your
me.
sensitivity.
Exactly, like, so.
That's beautiful.
Having
That's
that
very
support
important.
is definitely important.
Yeah, for sure.
So who taught y'all about, like, becoming a woman, caring for your womb, or, like, you know, going through the changes, as they say, like
becoming a woman?
And I don't mean that like in a big grand, like,
no, I get it,
but just like, you know,
even like my
transition,
administration and stuff like that. I think, like I mentioned in the other episode, like, my aunt, she's 4 years older than me.
Okay.
So whatever she experienced, she told me. You know what I'm saying?
That's still young too,
So
though.
yeah, right, exactly. So that's who I learned it from. I didn't know how to become a woman until I became a woman. Then I started watching my older sisters, and then I started watching just women around me. I just grabbed different aspects of them, and like that just made sense, like a woman should be. And I just kind of, that's how I just watched other women. Really,
I think that's like, for a lot of us, we didn't really sit down and have conversations. It was just like, well, you see, you know, what your mama do, or you see what your cousins do, and you just kind of emulate that.
A little bit of whatever that is. That
exactly.
Those are private, intimate things for a person to self-care on. So what really are we seeing? You know?
Exactly. Is it healthy?
And like, I didn't have women like that in my life. Well, I was raised by my mom, and she did what she could with what she knew, but it was just basic hygiene, if anything. But even I learned later, basic hygiene was truly the healthiest hygiene when it comes to the products and the ingredients and how we're cleaning ourselves. It's more detailed to that. It's not just telling a girl to, it's internal, it's outward. And it's not just telling the young girls to just make sure you wash up, that's basic common knowledge.
Obviously.
But what are we using to wash up with? How are we washing up? What does this ingredient mean? Like, that's what's important.
How can it affect your pH balance? And stuff like that. Like, I didn't even know what pH balance was.
Until I got a grown woman.
I was real grown.
And that was social media. I'm like, pH, Google, what's pH?
Like, seriously, my whole teenage.
Like, what the world? Even, like, I got a teenage goddaughter, and, like, when her friends come around, I'm like, what the heck? But they're not being taught
Mhm.
how to keep themselves up. I'm just not saying they dirty, but it's just like
They don't.
it's probably
They
something
misguided.
internal. Yeah, it's probably something internal they have no idea about. Their parents probably don't have an idea about it. So.
Yeah, and speaking of that, what ways can we hold space for young girls who are coming of this age, and tips that we can give as a village?
You know, I remember, and this is just a memory that just came back to me. I remember one day, like we had a 1 day little seminar. I was probably in 6th grade, I want to say, and like they came and they took all of the girls, you know, in middle school, and we had a conversation about. It was mainly basic hygiene stuff.
I remember something like that in the auditorium.
Yeah, in the auditorium type
remember
shit.
that.
You know, they just, you know, gave us some game on, you know, what was to come, what's to be expected. There was like some sex education and stuff like that. But I think we need to take that to another level.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
You know, bring back, you know, those types of conversations, even if it's going out into the schools or, you know,
Let's do
holding
that.
community events. Yeah.
I actually I started a Facebook group called Swag, and we eventually we're going to do these swag bags.
Okay.
And what's going to happen is we're just going to put a bunch of toiletries in them, and we're going to have like these little pamphlets kind of tell, you know, about hygiene and different stuff, or internal, the stuff they don't tell you.
Yeah.
And then the plan is to just go to different middle schools and different high schools, and just pass them out.
Okay.
But obviously,
What's the swag part? What does it stand for?
Swag is Sisters Winning and Gaining.
Okay.
So
That's
it's
dope.
Thank you. So it's more adult based, but obviously I'm never going to just not reach out to the
Right.
young women when I know they need us. Like,
Yeah.
you know, so
That's the reason why we have this knowledge for ourselves, but it's for the generations after us to break those
Exactly.
barriers that we didn't have from those ahead before us.
It's so much stuff that if I knew, because I really struggled with the whole, like, I don't want to say PMDD, but I really struggled just with my menstrual in general. My whole teenage, like, I was miserable, depressed, like, because the same stuff that you was going through. And if I knew then what I know now, like, I would have been so much of a more happier person.
Same.
Like, I know it's so many little girls walking around with attitudes just because they imbalanced. Like, they don't know no better. Nobody is
they don't even understand
Assistant.
why they're like that.
Yeah.
But instead of like, I know I grew up with a yelling mama, and so she didn't take the time out to understand like
Well, how I was
why I'm
feeling.
like this and
Yeah.
why I'm so mad and why my attitude's so bad. It was just you got a bad attitude because you was a teenager and
Yeah,
and
like
her,
it was just a
and
regular
her attitude was
growing
bad. So
okay.
it was like a back and forth, constant back and forth thing. And then I feel like a lot of it, it wasn't a diagnosis at the time, PMDD, but it's like
Yeah.
mothers kind of pretty much tell us
Yeah.
they have PMS, but then they look at their teenage daughters and just feel like you
you're
got
not
a bad
supposed to have
attitude.
it.
Like I got the same thing you got. Like give me,
Not
you gotta
understanding. We
show
got
your
a whole we
child
have
some grace.
different bodies.
Exactly.
We have different things that our body is going to respond to in different ways.
Exactly.
So just because we all having a cycle don't mean we're all having a cycle the same way.
And then like having a cycle and going through puberty is something crazy. Like I recently really got educated about just like developmental stuff and like what happens in your brain. Like forget what's going on with your body. Like your whole mind is shifting and being molded and stuff like that. Like we don't give kids enough grace at all, especially like the ones that is going through puberty.
Man, I've been giving my son so much grace and learning that through applying more conscious parenting in my parenting style. And it's been a process for me too because he's my only child. We're just entering teenage years, so and all these things that I've learned that I've unlearned to relearn and then apply it to parenting. It's a whole nother journey in itself to where I'm learning still while parenting him. You know. So
my goddaughter, I pretty much still helping raise her. Like I had her for a few years of her life, while her mom, you know, got a few things together. So her dad is deceased, so I'm literally her second parent. Like she goes to my family house and I'm not even there. I don't even know she's with them. And so raising a teenage, first of all, I didn't push her out. I don't have any biological children, but I don't want any girls. I'm absolutely 100% all right on that. You can give me all boys, but
Don't say that.
no, I mean it.
she like this is
I got
my
3 guy
daughter.
babies, but she is truly like that's my daughter. She tells people she got 2 moms, but it's been interesting trying to raise a teenage girl and not put in kind of like change the process of raising her, like that grace and teaching her about herself on top of living in this world where it's like a tug and pull. It's like a tug of war thing.
They still get influence from everywhere.
Yeah, it's like it's hard, and you gotta
Especially
it's a
now.
fight.
We thought we was influenced from everywhere else.
Ooh,
Before all of these platforms and everything.
Yeah, and then you got to lead by example as well. You know, she just
Mhm.
found out I got PMDD 3 days ago because I hid that from her because I didn't want her to like kind of see that from me. And like she'll ask, like, "God, mommy, can I come over?" And I'm like, "Not this week, you know, not this weekend." But I kind of had to tell her, you know, something happened, and I had
sometimes
to. It was that time I had to let her know, you know, saying because something she was experiencing, so I had to tell her about what I was going through, and you really got to be open with your teenagers these days.
Yeah, and then other generations were so hush about everything.
Yes, everything.
We're more open minded and open. That we've learned we have to be more transparent
for sure
and honest in those spaces.
I know you had said something about having a yelling mama. I can relate.
Me too.
that is so
But
crazy.
yeah, I know it is. But I think that's most of us. Like, it is what it is.
But it
What's
like
funny,
it
though,
affects you though because now when people
talk
yell
about
at me,
trauma,
when I say I'm
triggered.
ready,
Triggered, like,
I be ready
how dare
to
you raise
fight.
your voice at me?
I
Yeah,
literally
I don't-
be
I
ready
don't
to
like
fight when people yell at me. Like, you know, like I try not.
Nobody should be doing that anyway.
Yeah,
Now I ain't gonna
nobody.
lie, nah.
Because when I get to that point, if I'm raising my voice, I immediately be like, okay, I got to shut up and go by myself because I'm projecting out like this fiery energy that I've done too much work to be able to process better. So.
Now I will say, like, just you know, in the conversation with me and my god baby, of me telling her PMDD, it was in like a, all right, I'm sick of your, like I had to, like I'm not playing with shit, like so I had to, like, you know, like I'm very graceful and I talk to her, I don't yell at her and stuff, and I'm very open minded with her, but you know, teenagers be teenagers sometimes, and I had to pretty much let her know, like, I'm not playing with you, like I will fight you, like stop playing with me, you know, like it's like. You gotta kind of. I feel like I had to put a little bit of fear because it's like I'm not your friend.
Yeah,
you know.
I dealt with that before.
To just yell at her and just be constantly yelling all the time and stuff like that, like I didn't do that. And then I knew who my child was. Like she's sensitive, and she has always been sensitive growing up. So I didn't yell at her because I never want her to completely shut down.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, my son is me and him real cool. Super cool. That I learned that through being that cool with him in moments of parenting. Like I be like,
sometimes you gotta.
I be like, ooh, it's a line, and he kind of
crossing it, yeah.
You know, because he's so comfortable with talking to me. That but it's a working process. He always learned through the moments, and so do I. So we get better and better.
So do y'all believe that like do y'all believe that traumas are transferred like
absolutely
within the womb? In what way? Like, is it? Because I've heard two things, like is stuff that happens while you're pregnant or just like stuff that had happened in your life prior to pregnancy. I agree with the first one. Second one, not so much.
Go ahead.
Only because we can come from the same person. Like, let's say I have brothers, for example, and we don't have the same experiences, although we came from the same womb, but I think it's more so about the mind frame and the space that my mom was in, you know, when she was pregnant. 21 versus 30, you know what I mean?
That's why people be like, stop yelling so much, your baby gonna come out mad.
And they do.
And they come
babies
out,
be evil.
Yeah, you know.
For sure.
Come out frowning. And for me, my mom was very, I don't know, she didn't really open up to me. So I can't like pinpoint like what traumas could have came from her because she didn't tell me about her experiences. But I will say my own experiences, I've gotten to that's why I don't have any children, because I know I have trauma in my womb. I was sexually abused for 3 years of my life, you know. So I know I hold a lot of trauma in my womb, and I can feel stuff. Like I get into spaces where I can't listen to like certain type of music. Like I was just telling her, like yesterday, I could only listen to her, Nico, and meditation music.
And not her as in HER.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can only listen to Lauren. Okay. Her EP.
That went over my head.
Her EP is no. Her EP is fire and it's very spiritual and calming. And so yesterday I could literally, and I kid you not, I could not listen to anything secular. My stomach was literally going to knots yesterday. And I get those moments to where I know, like, okay, I got to work on some more womb stuff because my womb is rejecting stuff. It's like I'm trying to heal, and you keep like putting stuff in me, and I'm trying to heal. So I'm like, that's where I'm at. Like today, I haven't listened to anything secular or anything like that because I'm like, I think my womb is like, hey, it's time. Like you got a lot of stuff to do, so let's get it together. So I feel like my sexual abuse trauma is held in my womb, and that's why I had fertility issues and just different, even with the PMDD, because they say people who were sexually abused are more likely to have PMDD. So
I think, wow, I think that it's both too, because considering the womb is always present.
Yeah.
So like you're saying, you still feel like there's trauma being held in your womb right now. So unless we are releasing the trauma and doing certain intentional womb clearing and womb healing work and spiritual healing, the trauma is being held on and within the womb space. So because of that energy staying within throughout the journey of a person, if it never gets cleared out, I believe a lot of that's within the womb in a longevity aspect is present, whether a baby is, in there to receive it or not, but more so prone for a baby in the womb, of course, because babies are developing in that womb. And then considering like where the eggs are always present through the maternal lineage,
right.
the way
You're gonna always have like that's and I if then like correct me if I'm wrong, but I have read and like studying like womb care and trauma and like how you can carry it through generations and like the meaning of what a grandmother really is. Like that's why it's because a woman has all of her eggs she'll ever have in life. So when your mom is pregnant with you, when your mom is pregnant with you, she's still pregnant with your children because you're born with all of your eggs. So your eggs and your children are inside your mom, and you're all connected.
In a way,
and I agree. In a way, and I think, but I disconnect from that ideology because I got enough of my own shit that I'm carrying. Like I don't want to internalize or say that in any way that I'm carrying trauma from 2-3 generations. Like that's just something I choose not to subscribe to.
Okay.
But I will say, I don't know. I forgot.
I choose not to subscribe to it either.
I choose not to subscribe.
That's why it doesn't have ownership over me anymore either. But I definitely was in a space energetically where I can sense that difference, before, releasing it, not subscribing to it, not owning it and doing it intentionally.
But you got to get to a space to where you don't subscribe to it. When you're not spiritual and you don't really know this stuff, you subscribe to it. Like
for sure.
Like
and I did when I wasn't
something
aware.
That's a part of you until you become aware of it and you're like, nope, I'm not carrying that with me. I release that. Like
that's what I was gonna say. I think it's more spiritual or energetic than physical.
Yeah,
first and
right,
foremost.
for sure.
I think it'd be generational karma. Like your mama did this type of shit, your grandma did this type of shit, and if you do this type of shit, you're gonna have the same type of outcome.
And you can get the karma from your daddy too.
Fact.
Ooh, baby, because let me tell you,
sins of the father, right?
Man. I'll be like, who my daddy didn't hurt? Why does this keep happening to me?
Listen,
look, I watched my daddy growing up,
and I really had to tell my dad like some stuff, like because of the things that you have done in your life, like this is the type of stuff that's happening to me, and that I think people should really talk to their parents about that. Because if they don't know, like that's their karma. Like them having to feel and internalize that, like they need.
I don't even think they will really receive that.
It depends on the parent.
Like that generation, like it definitely depends on the parent. Honestly, I feel like my dad would receive it better than my mom would because my mom is so Christian based and so in the church. And I'm not knocking nobody for it. But I feel like she wouldn't be able to comprehend what I'm trying to tell her. I'm so serious. My daddy, I feel like my daddy would be like, "Oh, baby, I'm sorry." Like
Well, I tried to tell my father a long time ago, like when my little sister was little, and I was like, "Well, can you just make sure you stay present with my sister and be there for her, like because I've suffered from a lot of things in your absence to where my choices and guys or my experiences in male dynamics wasn't the best." And his response was, "Ain't my fault you picking some dumbass nigga." Like that was
when my dad told me. But the only advice my dad ever given me about the opposite sex is to leave men alone when they're outdoing them. And when he told me that, and I probably
leave men alone when
he's outdoing him, like don't be nagging. And I was a teenager when he told me that, and I knew I could never count on my dad to pretty much guide me in the right direction when it came to men. That's because he was a Rolling Stone. So to him, it's like he just wanted women to kind of just sit back and let him do his thing. So that was his advice he gave to me, and I was just like, but I still knew it wasn't. That was like weird.
Yeah. You want to hear some more bad advice? I'm not gonna say the only, but this is something that has stuck with me for so long, and I was believing it like when I was younger. Very wise woman told me, just find one, like don't worry about relationships, don't focus on settling down, getting married. It's not a good idea. You should just find one person that you like having sex with and like just keep doing that in the efforts to, not have a whole bunch of different. So I was like, yeah, that sounds right. But what they don't tell you is that you know, when you continue to engage with someone over and
That's
over
not
again,
for
soul
you.
ties.
Exactly. That's like you gotta give a little more
It's not a good
details,
idea.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Man.
Yeah. So if you don't have anything smart to say, just don't say it.
It's
Don't give me
period
kids. Don't
altogether.
keep giving
But
these-
especially when you're talking to children.
Yes, because they not smart neither.
They
And
gonna
thank
take
God
what
I
you
knew
say,
like that
run.
was like,
Yeah.
Betty, what?
I was
You know?
like, okay.
And then he always playing goofy, so I didn't even take him serious. I'm like,
Man,
stop talking to me.
my 16th birthday, my father came and gave me some condoms and was like, all right, I know you're 16 now.
Oh.
I'm like, I'm not having
I don't
sex,
even wanna
nor
have
do I
sex.
want to. I don't even want nobody to see me naked.
Yeah.
Like, but, you know, parents assume when they don't know, you know, they just going off what they know. They don't know. He thought it
They
was
know
that
because
time.
Johnny around the block, because he doing it, he just
Yeah, you gotta realize the time they grew up in. What?
Yeah. Like, I
Like,
absolutely
everybody-
do not
yeah.
need those, but okay. It was weird. However, what else can we talk about when it comes to, let's see, natural birth control methods?
the pull-out method.
Does it work?
I don't have no kids.
Me either.
Not a one.
I think my son was
I mean,
a pull-out method
Nah,
baby.
damn.
You think
It's like 98%
Yeah.
effective. But that's all birth
so.
control. Like that shit don't be 100%.
Yeah, all of it is
Yeah.
99%.
There's some other stuff too that I'm not really versed on that. I know cycle tracking is another good one. I do that too. So
Yeah, and the
you
cycle
know.
tracker app, knowing when you ovulate
And when you-
and
yep.
when you're not, because you can't get pregnant when you scientifically can't get pregnant. Like, so if you
I don't know though.
for the most part.
That shit. I'll say this. Our bodies they gonna do some things.
True.
Like 'cause some people ovulate multiple times during the month. And now you got
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So
But I
just-
think for me, like let me say, not that I always knew, but because I had so much blockage in my womb, you know, I'm now still working on like that fertility. Like I was diagnosed with fertility issues. So I mean, for me, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna get pregnant, and I didn't get pregnant. So,
you know.
but now because I'm working on like I'm eating better and I'm more aware of everything. I can't say I'm gonna go back to the doctor and they're gonna be like, you still got fertility issues.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, so I'll be a little more careful.
I know there's like some herbs.
Yeah,
more I
for
don't know if
sure.
you can speak to actual products that people can use.
Product wise, but
Vitamin
herbs. I do know neem oil definitely works and papaya seeds work.
Okay.
If you want to combine the two, you even can.
I heard vitamin C is a good one.
Vitamin C.
But honestly, like just being aware, because even if the calendar like shows that you're ovulating, you can feel like there's changes within your body, you know, that happens.
I get
I don't want to get too vulgar, you know, but
I get cramps.
Get vulgar.
You got, I
You
mean,
know,
your discharge, your
yeah,
cramps, all of that.
different
Like,
changes in your cervical mucus. You might be a little more hot, you know, walking around like you in heat.
Woo, them
You
days.
feel your heartbeat and you.
I be
Yeah, so
knowing
you know
it.
that's probably means you're ovulating. Probably should abstain if you're not trying to make no babies.
Yeah, for sure.
But
for
it's
sure,
really
for
just
sure.
knowing yourself, for real, knowing your body.
100%.
And your partner, if you with the same person, they probably start picking up on that too. Like,
Yeah,
For
she
sure.
ready to bust it
go
open.
make a baby.
She ready to bust it open.
And just to kind of close it out, is there any other tips for just having a healthy womb? Like we talk about self-care a lot, but what about womb care?
I would say for me, my spiritual practice has been very helpful. Even things with like affirmations to my womb and holding my hands on my womb and playing womb healing sound healing frequencies. They have them on YouTube. Literally type in womb healing frequencies and there's womb affirmations. Doing those regularly with a rose quartz crystal on my womb space, yoni steaming. I'll do it while I'm yoni steaming. I'll have certain crystals around me. I'll set a candle intention with it. And practice those things to just honor my womb and give it love and give it affirmation and remind it of its power and how sacred it is. I felt a complete shift with making that a habit in my energy overall, and even the speed in my things that I manifest. Because you know, our womb, when it's more clear, I feel like that's definitely a close connection to us as women, with the power of our ability to manifest and our intuition and all that. So I would say those things.
I think I would speak more on like PMDD. I feel like PMS, PMDD, anything, even when you're actually in your cycle, I feel like women need to pay more attention to it and stop taking it so lightly. Be more graceful with yourself. talk to your partner. Like, it's very important to have, if you have a partner, to have a partner that understands who you are when you're PMSing or when you're on your cycle, and the physical and mental and emotional changes you go through, because it makes it so much more easier when your partner is showing you grace and you showing yourself grace. Like, it just makes that process of that go a lot easier. And especially people who have PMDD, like letting your employer know that you have it, like that's something serious too, because you kind of need a lot more. You just need a lot more grace. You need exactly, if you in school, your teachers. I realized this semester that I probably do need to let my teachers know that I got PMDD, because I missed 2 weeks of assignments, and I end up having to write my teacher and let her know, like, this is absolutely no excuse. I'm just letting you know, if you're not gonna let me make up the assignments, I 100% understand.
But just be transparent.
Just to let you know, because I'm like, I'm not telling that. It's kind of like people who have ADHD or something. Like, it's a little bit more grace, and I let her know, and she was kind of like, I understand. And she allowed me to make up my assignments. I didn't keep using it as an excuse, but it was just that one time, and it was just real bad. Yeah.
And diet too, changing the way you eat. Those less inflammatory processed foods, especially around that time. If it's not a long-term thing, like caffeine. Really intaking more herbal teas. That's good for our healthy cycle, and staying hydrated. Getting out in the sun, getting out in nature. If you have any way to access getting the sun on your yoni, do that. Open your legs up, get in the grass, do some grounding, and eat real clean and healthy as possible. I know there are certain cravings that can occur, but finding out the levels you may have, maybe you have low iron, low zinc, low magnesium, and find ways to incorporate getting that into your system versus going after pop and chips and chocolates and things like that abundantly during that time, because you really can start to feel worse when you're putting those type of foods in with those type of ingredients during those times.
Especially caffeine, because my PMDD, my anxiety is real bad. So if I take
you are hyper
caffeine now, like it's not even that I'm hyper. I'm just real fidgety, and I'm jittery, and I'm just off balance, or like even like, because I partake in marijuana products. So if I smoke, I can't smoke sativas because it makes me even more anxious. I have to smoke an indica so that it can bring me down. So like, you really gotta watch what you're doing. So if anybody partakes in marijuana, do not smoke a sativa. Even for women during PMS, regular PMS, you should not smoke sativas during your PMS period.
That's a good
because they're uppers.
Okay. And considering that, relax. Give yourself grace and just relax. Go easy. Don't overexert yourself. Don't force yourself.
Last thing I was going to say is, for those of you that are able to do, because I know everybody's schedule is kind of hectic, life, but try to, if you have a regular schedule, you can plan your month around your cycle. So I like to plan to do more things while I'm ovulating, because you have a lot of energy. You have, you're glowing. People are actually more attracted to you, like not even just romantically, but you just have
energy.
You're more radiant during ovulation. So get shit done during your ovulation, and then the week of your cycle, try to relax as much as you can, and just be mindful of that.
Mindfulness of your cycle.
We should definitely put something together and go to school.
We are.
To school. For sure.
Be on the lookout for that. We're gonna definitely make sure we get involved more in the community with this information, natural products.
Maybe we'll do something at the shop.
Like a workshop.
We gonna go on a whole little school tour.
I was gonna say, I want to go on a tour with the schools and teach these teenagers and these preteens.
So if you're looking at this or know somebody that, based off what we just talked about, what our intentions are, please do send them our way. You can email us at faceted.duality@gmail.com. Follow us. Everything will be in the bio, caption. Anything else?
I think that's it for me. That's all, folks.
All right. That's all, folks. Like, share, subscribe. Watch us next time. Peace and love.
Elevate, levitate, we gon' elevate, meditate, ooh.